Welcome, Mr. Martinez.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes, and welcome anyone who is streaming this after the fact on YouTube. We will be getting started in just a few minutes. We'll give it just another like 30 seconds before we get started. Welcome, Jen.
I realize this is live. I feel like we just met. Didn't we all like just have this meeting? I don't know how it was a month ago. Anyway, I just felt like I need to throw that out there because this
So
month
true.
has been so fast.
Yes, the time has flown.
And you're gonna run to the adult education graduation, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
So yeah, so I'm only on here till 5:30.
Okay.
Well, let's get started then.
I will check in with the other board members in the meantime.
Okay, and we can start checking in at least. So welcome everybody. This is a very summary June 5th, 2025. And I am Board of Education member Stephen Tatum and also the chair of this Family and Community Engagement Committee meeting. So welcome to those of you present here to participate in the meeting, and then anyone watching online live or after the fact. Let's start with a round of introductions. It's a smaller group here tonight, but I would still love to hear your name, your role, and this month, if you could share your favorite public place in Hartford. I would love to hear your favorite public place in Hartford. I can start. Yes, Stephen Tatum, as I said, board member. And I really love walking by the Connecticut River at Riverside Park. I'll pass it to Flor de Hoyos. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Flor de Hoyos. I am the director of the Welcome Center, Family Services and Ombudsman. One of my favorite places is the Elizabeth Park with the flowers. My name is Flor. I will pass it on to Alejandro.
Good evening, everyone. Flor, I just got your joke at the end. Your name is Flor, like Elizabeth Park. The flowers are. Good evening, everyone. Alejandro Martinez. I am the Family Outreach and Engagement Manager for the district out of the Office of Strategic Partnership and Fund Development. Favorite place in Hartford, and maybe because we work around the corner from it and we can start potentially going for walks, I would like to say Bushnell Park. And I will pass it over to board member Hockenhall.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Jen Hockenhall, board member. My favorite place, to be honest, is City Hall. I love I don't know, maybe because I used to work there, but it feels very peaceful and interesting. So, and I will pass it over to Ms. Janelle Hooker.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Janelle Hooker, and I am the Executive Director of the Office of Strategic Partnerships and Fund Development for the district. And I would say that, and I don't know that is my favorite, but one area that I do like, particularly over the summer in the city, is I like to hang out at salsa evenings or salsa nights. So I like to do Pratt Street, and I also like to do oh my God, the one on Park Street, Parkville Market, but the outdoor kind of area.
Yes, as we head into summer, all of these public places are about to be very alive and very fun. Christina, our board liaison, would you like to weigh in about your favorite public place in Hartford?
Yeah, all of mine were stolen. I was gonna say Bushnell Park for walking. I love it. Pratt Street is becoming a favorite. And Riverside, we took a bike ride actually all the way from the Hartford side to the East Hartford side and came back. And it's actually a pretty good trail. And yeah, I'll just say Pratt Street right now is my favorite.
Awesome. I wish everyone a summer full of all that Hartford has taking advantage of all that Hartford has to offer. All right, we can dive into the agenda. Christina, I don't know if you're able to share it. We can give a quick overview and then dive right in. All right, we are going to start with some updates. Then the bulk of our time will be spent discussing summer learning opportunities, followed by our monthly reports from the School Governance Council, Title I, and the Welcome Center. So, Ms. Hooker, would you like to take away with some updates?
Yeah, give me 1 second so I could share my screen. And no judgment on my screen.
You must have a million tabs open, I can say.
I know, right? There we go. Yeah, slideshow. Okay, so our June to do as part of the district activities. On June 3rd, we had our School Governors Council showcase. We had it at Capital Community College. It was a really nice event. On June 7th, we are in partnership with Hartford Public Library, where they're doing their summer learning kickoff. This is going to happen at the library downtown, starting at 12. So that's this Saturday. On June 8th, the district is facilitating our end of year breakfast and learn family learning session. We're going to be at Bushnell Park from 10 to 1. On June 16, it would be our last 4-day school year, our last partners monthly meeting. We do it at Capital Community College. On June 26, we are in partnership with the city coordinating a Six Flags family field trip. So more information to come on that one, but the date that we're looking at this time is June 26th. And then on June 29, as part of the summer learning collaborative efforts that we have with Hartford Public Library, is where Sundays at the stadium will begin. And this will be at Trinity Health Stadium, which is home field for Hartford Athletic, and is open for all Hartford families to attend.
Great. Thank you for sharing those exciting opportunities coming up. Any questions about upcoming events or other things that are on people's radar that you want to lift up at this point? Okay. Next up on the agenda is the summer learning opportunities. Back over to you, Ms. Hooker.
Thank you. I will be sharing my screen again. And then from there, I'll stay up just to kind of have the next ones come in. Okay. So at the district, for this coming summer, we will be offering, and this is a recap of what we had shared previously, that we will be offering summer programming started on July 7th, and it's going through August 1st. We will have an early start program, which is catered to grades K through 3. The programming will be 8:15 to 12:15, would have an academic component, and we have afternoon enrichment. And on the next slide, I'll talk about our partnership on the enrichment portion of it. We will have an ESY program, which is catered for pre-K through 12, as indicated by our students' IEP, which will have an academic component for them to have as well. And we will also be facilitating credit recovery, which we will have it from 7:30 to 12:30, where we would have it at Hartford High School and Weaver High School. And all of the programs that I mentioned will be facilitated or ran from July 7th through August 1st, which would be 20 full days of instruction. Our registration deadline that we're utilizing for our programs is June 6th. However, we're still working with our families to really get that enrichment portion going and really solidify what attendance would look like for our program. For credit recovery, we're utilizing June 13th and still continue to work on ensuring that we get as many students as possible participating in these programs. Due to financial constraints, this year we are participating or collaborating with community-based organizations to help us support early start. We have additional summer partnerships and collaboration, credit recovery, as well as I will be talking about a middle school summer program that we were able to solidify as well. We are using the collaboration with partners and the partners funding and how many slats they are able to support us as a district as a strategy and an opportunity to ensure the attendance and engagement of our students during our summer classes. At this time, one of the buildings that we're opening, which is Breakthrough North, I still don't have a solidified partner, but we're still working on ensuring that we get a partner for enrichment there. So more information to come in that one. But we will be opening our global building, where we'll have students from West Middle, Webster, and Sand. And we are partnering with PAL, which is right next to the building, for 40 slots of students to be in enrichment programming after they finish their classes, as well as My People's Clinic, who's also offering 40 slots. So we would have 80 students doing enrichment services out of that building. For our Zone 3 building, which we will be opening Sanchez and ESM, but for Sanchez building that will be hosting students from Sanchez, Parkville, Burns, and Elams, we are currently partnering with Hispanic Health Council, which is providing us 40 slots to facilitate enrichment services for students. And we're also partnering with Catholic Charities, who will be providing an additional 40 slots for students as well. For our ESM building, which would also be for Zone 3, where we would have students from Breakthrough South, ESM, Kennelly, and Montessori Magnet at Batchelder. We're partnering with AtMath, who will be providing enrichment services for 50 students as part of the collaboration. And then for Zone 4, we will be opening our Belize building, where we would have students from Belize, Naylor, MD Fox, Kinsella, and Betances Early Learning Lab. And the partner that we have for that particular building is The Village, who will be providing us 75 slots for enrichment services. And we recently solidified a partnership with the Arts for Learning Connecticut, who will be offering an additional 40 slots for services. Please remember that all these slots are being provided based on their budget that they have and how they will be able to provide for accommodated students to stay in enrichment programming. For credit recovery, we are in collaboration with Capital Workforce Partners and their Summer Youth Employment Learning Program in order for us to really support the students that are coming to summer classes in the morning. And then once they finish their classes, which is around 12:15, they will be transitioning to actual employment placement throughout the city. And we're collaborating with the providers that they have. At this time, we're in the process of finalizing what those worksite agreement and MOU looks like with Center for Latino Progress and Our Piece of the Pie as two of the providers that Capital Workforce Partners has put us in contact with. We have additional partnerships solidify based on their funding as well, where Camp KO has offered the district with 58 slots for students to attend their camp during the summer months. Boys and Girls Club has facilitated us with 50 slots, where 25 of them will be provided to students from West Middle and 25 of them will be provided to students from Belize to participate in their programming at no cost. As you know, Boys and Girls Club does have a scaling fee that families pay to be in their summer programming, but this 50 slots would be at no cost to families. Camp Current has also afforded us 50 slots with no cost. Camp Current started last year with a application fee associated, and that's what they're waiving for Hartford Public Schools students, and they gave us up to 50 slots that we're able to facilitate or offer our families to attend their camp. And we developed a new partnership with Oakwood Sports Center, which is located in Glastonbury. And this particular facility has afforded us with 100 free slots for our families to be able to have students attend. This particular facility is offering before care. So the camp goes from 9 to 3. But they're offering before care, meaning that the camp would open at 7 if parents need to drop off their kiddos before going to work, so that they could be at the camp starting at 7 in the morning. And in the event that parents are running late in picking up their children, the camp will be open until 6. So they also have aftercare. As long as they are a Hartford Public Schools student, we're given 100 slots, and families can reach out to our Welcome Center to be able to help the process of enrollment to these programming. The one piece that I would also want to update that was not a part of our previous summer programming presentation was that the district was a recipient of a magnet school funding for middle school programming, which is new for us this year, where we, due to the grant, will be able to offer 135 students out of our magnet, with priority to our magnet middle school programs, with the opportunity for our neighborhood schools to also have access to these slots. Middle school program that would also run from July 7th through August 1st. This particular program will be a Monday through Thursday, academics in the morning, enrichment in the afternoon, but it's a full day program. Students do not have the ability to say they're only going to do academics or they need to be there for the entire day. And on Fridays, students will have the opportunity to go to Ebony Horsewoman to be there for the full day of getting exposure into their program. Monday through Thursday, the partners that will be facilitating the enrichment component of our middle school summer program will be Catholic Charities and the Village, this program will be host or provided at Classical Magnet School, and they will be there from 12:30 to 3:30. So students will be in a middle school full day program from 8:15 until 3:30, Monday through Friday, but then on Fridays, they will be at Ebony Horseman Woman. This concludes the update that I have in terms of what our summer programming looks like at this time for Hartford Public Schools. And I'm open to any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much for this overview. I don't have any immediate questions. Does anyone else have questions that they'd like to ask? All right, then I would just thank you for just the coordination work that I see behind this one slide is a lot, and I appreciate the work of you and your team for making sure that we have such a rich array of offerings for our young people this summer. Really appreciate all that you are doing under tough budget situations to provide these opportunities.
Correct. So I'm leaving the slide because the next one will move us into the next. So you can
Great.
just tell me.
Carry on.
Okay, at this time, the presentation will then transition to Alejandro Martinez. You
My
are
apologies, I was muted. Good evening, everyone. Just want to give you an overview of where we are at this particular moment with SGCs. Compared to last month, we went from 33 schools to a full seated SGC. Now we're up to 35. That only leaves us, unfortunately, with 3 schools short. But just want to let you all know, even though those 3 schools are short, we're less than 8 members away from having a fully seated across the district. Parent membership went from 253 to 260, so that's 7 additional parents. In an additional month, teacher membership went up by 5 from 181 to 186, and CBO member partnership from 73 to 75. And as you can see, we have 260 parents who are SGC members, 186 teachers, and 75 community leaders, which puts us at 92.1% of the schools on a fully seated SGC. And I just want to clarify real quick, because I know during Tuesday's SGC showcase, I meant to mention that we have 100% of our SGCs functioning. So I just want to clarify from what I presented on Tuesday and what I'm presenting right now. We do have 100% of our schools are meeting with their administrators or SGC co-chairs at every single school. Unfortunately, 3 of the schools are not fully seated at the 14, which is the number for the fully seated seats. So I just wanted to provide that clarification, just in case anyone is seeing the presentation from Tuesday and now seeing this slide as well. Yes. Any questions regarding SGC before we move over to Title I?
I would just like to thank you for a wonderful event on this past Tuesday at the SGC Showcase, and I would encourage anybody who is curious about SGCs or wants like a way that they can be involved in their school to watch the recording of that event. I think it's available through Stan McCulley's YouTube channel.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I was glad to be there.
Thank you.
Jen Huckenall, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm sorry I missed the event on Tuesday. It sounds like it was a great event. Quick question on SGC. So it takes, it seems like it takes quite a while to get these up to full membership. Do you start over again at the beginning of next school year, or does that mean that we're almost full going into the next year? How does that work?
So I wish that was the case, but it's not. That would make my job super easier, but no. So each term of an SGC member lasts 2 years. And so with ideally you would want those members to stay there the full 2 years, but as we all know, families move, teachers get transferred out, community members change. So we most of the time, I wouldn't say 100% of the time, we have elections every year, and even sometimes throughout the year, depending on if a parent leaves throughout the school year and there's a vacancy, if a teacher transfers out, there's a vacancy. So at this particular moment, and I wish I would have put up this slide here. We do have, and I'm gonna look for my notes real quickly, if I can pull it up real quickly. Um, I'm like Janelle, I have 1,000 slides up, but we do have, if my memory serves me correctly, 170 parents out of those 60 right now that said that they're returning to continue their second year in SGC. I believe we have 20 community partners that said they're returning to continue their second year at SGC. I can't quite remember the number of teachers, but it's somewhere I think about the 70s or 80s if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, the process does continue all over again. FCSSPs in collaboration with PTOs and administrators already started the legwork to ensure that we are fully seated, hopefully early on in the school year. The deadline that the district has and the state has is at the end of October. That's why we do our biggest push now in May and June. And then if there are any openings that will help, we will host another round or each individual school of nominations and elections for teachers, community partners, and parents as well. So it's an ongoing process. Yeah. I think in regards, and now we're going to move over to the Title I report. As you all know, we had 141,446.71 after the audit that the state conducted in December. Encumbered as of June 1st, we have 133,939.62. And pending amount, I know that usually this amount, it's not usually there, but these are recs that were put in that have gotten approved but are not in the encumbered line item yet. Our finance department has not gotten to that amount yet. So as of right now, I think we're up to about roughly around $5,000 that have not been spent. And obviously that is not just in one school alone, that's around the 38 schools. So as you will see in the monthly report that Christina will, not quite sure if she got a chance to send it out to yet, you will see the breakdown. So it's a total of about $5,000, but you will see that $90 here, $80 here, $100 here adds up to that amount. So that's where we are at this particular moment of the year. Any questions regarding Title I expenditures? Great. And I believe this concludes my part of the presentation.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Floor in the Welcome Center report, you're up next.
I am up next. Thank you. I will be reporting for the Welcome Center. On the next slide, there is the breakdown for the month. And I know last month there was a question about from last year to this year. There was a huge increase from last year to this year in April. And I wanted to highlight that because we had 600 intakes at the Welcome Center this year. In April, and as you will see in May as well for next month, there we focused on outreach as we were promoting the summer programs, and we were collaborating also with the city of Hartford on a few community learning events, so the numbers are higher. There were 500 out of this 600, 547 requests. In addition I mentioned the summer program, the Welcome Center extended their hours for 3 days to assist families with summer program applications and questions that they had. So when you compare this at the end of the year in July, we will send a comparison from last year to this year. You're going to notice those big differences, and that's what that's about. And next slide. Here that's where you can see the reflection of last year to this year, the 600 versus the 263, and I just told you why. The top 3 areas that we had intakes, it's usually always with the McKinney-Vento, displaced families and transportation inquiries and basic needs, because those are the biggest requests and calls that we get at the Welcome Center. And then in terms of engagement services, we provided to the top 3 schools. Elementary school, we had Wish, Sand, and Rawson. Middle school, we have McDonough, MLK, and Global. And for the high schools, we had Hartford Public High School, Buckley, and Weaver. Those were the top 3 schools that we had intakes for at the Welcome Center. Next slide. The next report is the Family Resource report, and it says February here, and that's incorrect. That should be May, April. Sorry. Burns Latino Studies. The data is accurate though. Burns Latino Studies, Social Support Services. We had a total of 2,175, and the activities included family activities, educational programming, the food pantry, and before and after care services. At the Wish Museum, the total of services were 162. This included childcare, educational programming, after school programming, and family and parenting education. At Rawson, it was 459. This included playgroups, playgroups, home visits, preschool education, before and after school care. Some of the schools have both before and after, some just have after. The referrals and resource services and educational programming. At SAN, this last month was a 462 support services. These included childhood education, before and after school care, home visits, adult education programming, referral and resources services, housing, food, and clothing assistance. And lastly, Maria Sanchez Elementary support services, total 494. This included the playgroups, the preschool education, after school educational programming, housing, resources, and referrals. I believe that concludes. There's one other item for the resource, the Welcome Center. We did serve. We had a count of 32 students that were identified as McKinney-Vento programming, and there were no donations giving this last month for these families. That concludes my report. Does anybody have any questions?
I don't. So, thank you for like explaining the jump in the number of intakes from last year to this year. I know it's a pretty dramatic increase, and I've heard like a couple different explanations, and the outreach that you're doing seems like a big component of that. So thanks for doing that outreach and creating that
Thank you.
opportunity to connect more with our families.
Thank you.
All right. I believe that there is no further business on the agenda tonight. So a blessedly shorter Family and Community Engagement Committee meeting on this very summery evening. I hope that you all have a great rest of the day and a successful conclusion to the school year in these last couple of weeks.